A very good evening. Another Champions League night awaits at the Etihad Stadium. And we are looking for our third win of the Champions League campaign this season. And fingers crossed, it shall be business as usual as we take on FC Copenhagen under the lights. The lads are arriving there at the stadium. We saw them leave the academy not too long ago, so now they'll be in the changing room getting ready to take to the pitch and hopefully secure another 3 points. It's been very different starts for both these teams to the Champions League. Of course, we sit top of our Group G, while our Danish opponents are tied with Seville for last place and have struggled to score so far this season. They've only scored 4 goals in all competitions and they only got their first win in their domestic league on Sunday. So a big ask for them to take on the Premier League champions at the Etihad Stadium. We will, of course, be hoping that with 3 points tonight and 3 points further down the line, we can all but secure qualification into the next round of the Champions League. But, of course, no place for complacency tonight. And we'll be bringing you the team to take on that task in just a moment. Not before, though, I've welcomed you along to Matchday Live. Very good evening. My name is Cel Spellman. And not only have we got a treat coming your way in just over an hour's time as our boys take to the pitch at the Etihad Stadium, I've got a treat right here in the Etihad Stadium with not one, not two, but 3 guests, 3 of my favourite people, 3 legends in the form of Nedum, Paul Dickov and Shaun Wright-Phillips. What a lineup and what a treat for you guys. Before we get into that team news, Paul, we know you've just got back from Oslo, celebrating the derby win over there. How was that?
It was amazing, you know, being over there, seeing the fans, not just the Norwegian official supporters club, the Denmark official supporters clubs come over as well. Lots of really cool events that the club put on for the supporters, and then obviously the main event on Sunday, the Demolition Derby again, was absolutely amazing to be there, honestly. And
go on, sorry, Paul.
The City fans here in Manchester, we all know how fanatical they are, but it's really great to see the club put on these events, but see how passionate they are abroad as well, you know, and the place went absolutely mental on Sunday. Oh, gosh, so great to hear as well. Well, we'll be getting into more of that derby demolition job in just a little bit. But, of course, first, team news. This is the first place you can find it, and I can bring it to you right now. Our starting 11 as chosen by Pep Guardiola looks like this. So Ederson, of course, holds his place alongside Cancelo. It is all changed, though, in the centre of the pitch, where Diaz and Laporte come in for Ake and Akanji. And Gomez holds his place after coming on for the injured Kyle Walker on Sunday. Ilkay Gundogan once again captains the side, alongside Bernardo Silva. And we've also got Jack Grealish on there. Julian Alvarez comes to the side. Haaland holds his place and Riyad Mahrez comes in as well. On the bench, we've got Ortega, Scott Carson, Nathan Ake drops to the bench. Rodri makes his return from that little knock he picked up just before the derby on Sunday. Kevin De Bruyne on the bench alongside Akanji, Phil Foden, Cole Palmer, pardon me. Pardon me.
No, Cole Pardon. Rico Lewis and Jason Wilson-Esbrand completes the bench. Nedum, I'll come to you. Great to see Laporte back in the starting 11, of course, after that little injury layoff he's had.
Yeah, for sure. You know, obviously you've come to me because you think I just love defending, but I actually love attacking, so I'm actually excited about Alvarez as well.
Hey.
But I know where you're coming from.
Hey.
I know where you're coming from. I know where you're coming from. But it's good to see him back. The competition for place is going to be hotting up, and, you know, I love it when it's like this because it means whoever's out there has this sort of sense of responsibility, like they need to play well to give themselves the best chance of playing the next game. And as all things considered, you know, this is the team you want to play for, so it's a great opportunity, and it's nice when you can be fed back in to a Champions League game.
Yes.
You know, that's the depth that City have, and those are the nature of the games that they have. So, yeah, I'm looking forward to seeing how he performs, and hopefully he can stay fit for the rest of the season.
I'm going to save Julian for you then. We'll come back. But one man, he makes his 200th appearance tonight in a Manchester City shirt, Riyad Mahrez. Obviously, he's not been able to quite break into that first team yet, Shaun. What do you think it is that we need to be seeing a bit more from him? I know Pep says, I think in one of his pre-match conferences, he knows what he needs to do. Do you think we'll soon see that Riyad Mahrez we saw last season, particularly in the Champions League?
Yeah, I think that there's no doubt with that. I don't think that those sort of qualities just vanish. I think they're always there, and he's just going for a little spell, I think, at the minute. You've got to think, one thing he had, which he was superb at, is he could be quiet in a game for 70 minutes. And he would pop up with an assist and a goal. And that's what he had last year. And I think the way City are now, especially in those attacking areas, you have to be doing those things. You have to do the hard work side, which is something you have to do anyway, and you should do without even considering otherwise. And I think after you do that and you start letting your quality show and you're getting your goals and your assists, then you make yourself kind of undroppable.
I wanted to ask maybe to all three of you. No, I'm by no way near as he had like a real dip in form, but obviously he's kind of having to push to try and take the place of someone else. What do you do as players in that moment? You know, if you're kind of aware of being right, I'm not quite at where I want to be. Is it a back to basics thing? Is it kind of a mental thing?
It's weird because I would have always said it's hard to get back to where you want to be if you're not playing games.
Yeah.
Whereas the City squad in general has kind of chucked that theory out the window because there's a lot of rotation, especially in the front areas. That happens quite a lot, and it has done over the years. And they normally just come into the game and hit the ground running and play as if they haven't missed any game. So I think it's just a matter of, like, healthy competition is always good. And I think all it takes is that one thing to go your way and it will change.
And in fairness, you know, there's one person here who has been a manager, and if you've picked a starting 11 and you look to the bench and something needs to change, you want an impact from the person coming off the bench, don't you?
Of course you do. And for me, with Riyad, I think he's been slightly unlucky as well. I know we're talking about the amount of rotation we have. You know, Phil has been in such good form on that right-hand side, coming in and he's left, that he's getting picked more often than not.
Yeah.
You know, and he's probably, I know he's not playing tonight, but in the Champions League, but in the league games, he's probably undroppable at the minute. And this season, Pep's probably kept more of a settled team than what he has in previous seasons as well. So, but look, Riyad's a top-quality, world-class player. You know, he was outstanding, especially in the Champions League the last couple of years. Tonight, he's got his chance, and you fully expect his quality to come through.
And it's one of those things like, you can't pick yourself, but you have to stay ready.
Yes.
When you come on off the bench, maybe that could be the game winner. Maybe you could be the difference. So just because your confidence maybe drops down because you're not being selected on a game basis at City, you'll play.
Yes.
And when you get the chance, are you ready to do it? And I'll be honest, from a sort of defensive standpoint, if I was on the field and it's like City making a sub and you see Mahrez coming on, it's like, oh, for God's sake, he's out the frying pan into the fryer. So at the end of the day, like, he's still in a good spot. He's still very, very good, and you know, like, he's playing the Champions League. I'm sure he'll be feeling all right.
Yeah, absolutely. And we know as well he loves that competition, indeed. Moving to the middle of the pitch, Paul, it was a big shock and a bit of a worry for myself on Sunday to hear that Rodri had picked up that knock, given how influential and key he is in the Pep system. But how great was Ilkay Gundogan at kind of filling that role? And obviously he had Bernardo alongside him. I mean, De Bruyne is on the bench, so I'm assuming maybe it could be Jack, who plays a bit more centrally, do we think, alongside him? But yeah, Gundogan's just been fantastic, hasn't he?
He was amazing again at the weekends, and you know, I was a little bit, you know, I'm always super confident, but when I see no Rodri and no Ruben Diaz, you know, you sort of think, oh, maybe one of them missing you can cope with, but not two. They soon put that to rest after the which was great. But Gundogan, look, he's outstanding. He never loses the ball. Composure, experience, and just a top quality player. And you know, I know there's no Kevin tonight, but Bernardo in there with him. I actually think it might be Alvarez that might be the one further forward playing off Erling Haaland. You know, we've done that. I think it was the Forest game at home.
Yes.
Where they've done a similar thing. So look, however they set up tonight, but whether it's Jack in there and Alvarez wide or vice versa. It's a top quality team and a really strong team as well.
Absolutely, and let's pick up on Julian.
You see, it's my big moment, you know what I mean?
What do you want to say about our little Argentinian?
What I'd want to say is, you know, we've spoken so much about Haaland this season that you forget that we also signed somebody else who's got all the potential in the world. And unfortunately, he's had to watch it from the sidelines, so you can imagine, like, he's desperate to get the chance to go out and play, desperate to go and show and give excitement to the fans. And I think the way that he plays, like, Erling scores the goals, he's got the movement. Like, Alvarez's work rate, that reminds me of like a Tevez, and I remember the feeling that existed at the club when Tevez first came.
Yes.
You know, fans really got on board, they understood what he was all about. I think for Alvarez, he has that opportunity, he has that ability, and if he's scoring goals, you know, it's Haaland and Alvarez. For now, it's just Alvarez, but when you put those two together, and if they play really well together today, it's a feeling that we'll probably hold for the rest of the season. We know that if there's ever a moment where City need a goal and you see the two of them there, so this is the setup.
Yes.
It's always a great chance to go out and sort of make a name for yourself, because he is young, but make yourself a name for yourself at a new club in a new situation, and to be successful. Because I keep saying it, but like, we're not talking about a third round of the like League Cup against the side that's in League Two. Respectfully, like, it's the Champions League. What a chance to go out and play, do well, and show that you're one of the best players in Europe.
And speaking of the formation, you were saying maybe either that, I think it was like a 4-4-1-1 almost, or if it's the 4-2-3-1. Why do you think he'd prefer, maybe if he does, it maybe Grealish or Julian, but let's say it's Julian Alvarez, what does he bring to that kind of middle position if he's got Jack and Riyad on the other side?
1-1 seems to make perfect sense, because it's Pep, it might be a 2-2-2, 2-2-2, 2-2-2. You know what I mean? And that will make perfect sense. But I think it's a good chance for them to link up well together. You can see, like, there's a size difference. So in some ways, it feels more like classic 9-10 type thing, yeah. But it probably won't end up being that way. But it's a chance for them to sort of, like, find that's a different sort of link up, because you can see Haaland is incredible with KDB behind him. What are they like when those two are up against you, and also playing against the Copenhagen side? You're going man-to-man now. Yeah. You know what I mean? The two centre-backs are going man-to-man versus Haaland and Alvarez, with Grealish, Bernardo, Mahrez, all those people on that other side. So it's a good chance to sort of offer something different. I think for Pep, I think he enjoys all the different options that can be created, so that in any particular situation, he knows what he can go to, what he can turn to. He knows that if it's going to be a flat 2 or a 1 playing off the other, it's a different look to give an opposition every single week. Because how does Southampton prepare now?
I mean, how does any team prepare? That's the thing. And then how do the players then play out that plan of attack? Also, you know, we spoke about Mahrez. Let's speak about Grealish, because a lot of the chat with City fans, and I remember I came home going, gosh, that felt like a Grealish that we saw at Villa. Now, I've been singing his praises all last season, but coming back from his injury, he seems to be picking up where he started the pre-season at, really, Shaun, doesn't he?
Yeah, and I think in that game, he set off on the front foot. I think it brings it back to the times when I was playing, and people like Paul and the managers used to say to me, if you get a chance, your first run, go at him. Even if you don't get past him, just go for it and see what happens. And that's basically what he's done. He's got him the yellow card. Game 1 to Grealish, 1-0 already. Yeah. He can't touch him now. And he just grew and grew in stature in that game, and he caused them all sorts of problems. The only thing people would say and are always going to revert to that was missing was maybe a goal or an assist. But his game in general was, I enjoyed watching him, and it, like you said, it reminded me of the times where he was at Villa, seeing him entertaining, seeing him go at people, drawing those fouls, holding the ball up and keeping possession. And I think from now he should just build on that and just take it step by step.
I think as well, there was a little moment, because his confidence is there, but I don't know if you remember, there was a moment in the United game, and we're going to bring you, of course, a recap of that, because why wouldn't we, in just a little bit. But I think Haaland had kind of played him in, and Haaland wanted him to shoot, and I think he took a touch before thinking, should I pass or shoot, and then the opportunity had gone. Do you think that's the final piece, Paul, in a way that he just, now the confidence is growing, just pull that trigger when it's there, or go past that man? He kind of doesn't have to have that thought.
I think there's been too much made about his form. I think he's done really well since he came in. And it's people from outside. Look, he's been an easy target for a lot of people, and a cheap target at times. You know, and last season when he was playing, all right, it wasn't the Jack Grealish you've seen at Villa, but he's not at Aston Villa anymore. You know, he's at Manchester City. He's getting picked by Pep, which means he's doing something right. He's doing what the manager wants him to do. And, you know, the derby last season, I thought, was one of the best games he had last year.
Agreed.
As you said, pre-season, done well, scored against Wolves. And on for 60 minutes on Sunday, he was unplayable. You know, but he's obviously appreciated by his teammates. He's a top-class player, and he's appreciated by the manager. You know, and if he goes back to Jack Grealish that was at Aston Villa, he doesn't play in Pep's team.
So true, yeah.
You know?
Yeah.
So he's part of a team that's won the Premier League, that's playing fantastic football, and he's getting picked week in, week out, so he must be doing something.
Doing something right, absolutely. Also as well, if you do want to go back, I don't know if we'll show it, but when he sat down Casemiro, that was a beautiful moment in that derby as well, Jack. We love that lad. Final word as well, because he came on for the injured Kyle Walker in the derby. Young Gomez.
Young City fan Gomez, yeah.
The young City fan. Yeah. There's a great picture of him in a City shirt. I mean, there was what I loved was, for all City fans, there were 4 City fans on that pitch by the end of the derby, which I think for any of us is just magic. But he starts at left back. From the bits you've seen of him, Nedum, how do you think he's kind of growing into the team? I thought he gave a great complete performance.
Yes, he did. He's a very good player. You know, I think the one criticism is the fact that, like, he's around when Cancelo's around. Otherwise, maybe you play more. Yeah. You know, that's just the nature of it itself. But he understands the system. He's very composed. Defensively, wants to get it right, and you can see he enjoys playing for the club. And you know, to talk about the fans thing, you say we've got 4 fans that were playing on the field that day, but you can see when the way City celebrated, they love beating Man United. You can just see it within all of them. You know what I mean? And if there's ever a sign of a City fan, it's taking joy in United's misery. You know? And there was a lot of that was going on in that stadium that day.
Was.
So yeah, he's very good. he can continue to get better. And I think with these little moments, because we forget that he's young as well.
And this is going to be such an obvious question, but when when Laporte came on to get some minutes, he moved Ake to left back and then went and stuck him up in centre midfield.
Yeah, in the holding role.
I mean, how?
Listen, mate, that was my dream. When I used to play right back, I used to dream of being sent further forward. Never happened. Literally never happened. But that
Probably
was
a reason for that, mate.
Yeah, I know. Listen, I never questioned it, but I used to dream of it. Same as like when flipping, we need a goal late door, send someone up, and I'm looking around. Is it me? Is it me? It's like, no. The one behind you. The one behind you. But yeah, that's good. Obviously, the structure of it was a bit wild come the end of it. But he can do that. He's a good footballer, and I think good footballers can do stuff like that. Yeah. Unfortunately, I didn't get the chance to do that. But yeah, he's very good, and I'm glad that he's playing. And again, he's playing in the Champions League for Man City. Seems like quite an accolade.
I'd have let you go forward.
No, you wouldn't, mate.
Oh, no.
You wouldn't.
Well, speaking of Gomez, let's hear from him now, because he joined Pep Guardiola in his pre-match conference ahead of tonight's game against Copenhagen in the Champions League.
As someone who has supported Manchester City growing up, how was it to come on and play in a derby where you all played so well?
Sí, al final siempre he sido un fan del Manchester City. Yeah, I'm always been a City fan, so to me it's a dream come true. I used to watch the games back in the day with my brother, and I always felt like a dream playing here. So I'm living this dream, it's true now. So I'm trying to help the team, and I know the value and the meaning of the win on Sunday for us and for the fans. I'm very happy for the outcome of the game. It was a very important win for us, for the fans and for me especially, because despite I'm not from here, I like the club, I'm a City fan, so it means a lot to me. Y para mí también, porque aunque no sea de Manchester, de Inglaterra, pues siempre me ha gustado el club.
That is there, of course, our young left-back Garcia there speaking ahead of the game against Copenhagen tonight. Thank you so much for joining us on Match Day Live. My name is Cel Spellman. We've got Shaun, Wright-Phillips, Nedum and Paul Dickov in the studio. And, of course, we have you in the studio as well. Well, what do you mean, Cel? I hear you ask. Go, well, see that little number on there? That is how you can literally be here. We can get your questions and your input into the show. So if you've got a burning question for our guests in the studio, or maybe you want to pass comment on the team, or maybe you've spotted something that no one else has that you've heard she spoke about in the pub this week, get it in and we'll bring it into the show as we roll on through. And as well, you can also get in touch on Twitter as well. Right, we've looked at our Manchester City starting 11. Let's take a look then at FC Copenhagen's starting 11. Big ask for them this evening, of course. They've only got their first win in the season so far in their Danish Premier League on Sunday, only scoring 4 goals as well. So a big ask. But here's the team that's been chosen to try and take us on, and I'll forgive anyone who says that I'm pronouncing this wrong, because I will get some pronunciations wrong. So we've got Grabara in net. Then we've got Dix, we've got Vavo, we've then got Konchklova, Gleason captains the side, Johansson, Lurger, Darmy, Karamoko, Christensen and Stamenic, I think. The bench, do you know what? I will save everyone the embarrassment. I won't let you sit through.
I was going to give you a round of applause before Stamenic. Yeah, you were doing well for that.
Gave it a go. But I guess, gents, this is also the beauty of the Champions League. And you were saying before, Nedum, this isn't, it's with respect to League Two or a League One side. It's the Champions League. And it's great when you get brought teams that maybe necessarily you're never going to kind of have come across before.
Yeah, for sure. Some long-time City fans would have seen City play against Copenhagen before in European competition. You know what I mean?
It couldn't help it.
We don't need to get into that just yet. but aside from that, no, it's good. And I think you don't want to sort of encourage complacency as well, because obviously Copenhagen are struggling domestically. They're struggling in the Champions League as it stands. Mm-hmm. But it's still the Champions League. Every team that's in this phase now has earned the right to be there, because there are tons of teams who fell short in qualifying rounds and in this domestic season. So it's not going to be an easy game unless City make it easy by doing all the right things and playing to their full ability.
Yes.
So even though we don't necessarily know all the names of those players, don't know how to say the names of some of those players, you know what I'm saying, Kel? It's still going to be a good game. It's the Champions League game, and it's going to be competitive, because for them, this might be the biggest game they play all season. So why not approach it the right way? And
speaking of approaching it the right way, it's very rare this creeps into a Pep Guardiola side. But I wondered, as the manager, Paul, and you've managed as well, when you've had a game like the derby, and had such a high, and then you're looking at Copenhagen on Wednesday. Even some players as well that maybe think, well, I didn't start in the derby, you started me here. How is that managed, and how do you make sure that they're just as galvanised and approach it in the same way that the derby was approached? Because is that a slight cause for concern, I guess, or worry?
No, I don't think so. I think obviously the Hive won the derby, but this team's used to playing 3 games a week, big games as well. You know, and coming off the back of the derby game, no disrespect, it is against a slightly lesser team. But you look at the team that's been put out there. You know, they're top-class players, they're experienced players that are in there. And more than anything else, they want to win the game tonight, and they'll want to more or less guarantee qualification for the Champions League as quick as they can.
Yes.
And then the other side, like say your Riyad Mahrez, Laporte coming back from injury, Sergio Gomez that we're talking about, you know, they want to put something in the manager's head for the Southampton game on Saturday as well. You know, this is how they think. They're used to getting rotated. They're used to not playing for a couple of weeks, then coming in and playing games for a few weeks. But as in playing against a lesser team tonight, they'll want to go out there and prove a point, not just to the manager, but show the manager that they want to stay in the team. Well,
Shaun, do you think it's going to be that we've seen most kind of teams come do it at the Etihad, probably try and soak up the pressure, put in that low block, and then maybe try and hit us on the counter? Or, I mean, they are a team, I think, you know, Pep says that when he watched clips of them, they still like to play out from the back. So do you think we might see a little bit of that at their peril, maybe?
I don't think they will go down that route. I think the fact that they've had such a hard start to the season in general, I think they'll err more on the side of caution and try and hold out for as long as possible before they open up, because even the best team comes to the Etihad, if they open up, they get put in their place very quickly, and I think it would be a problem. And I think City showed that against Man United, because most of the time Man United didn't come out and press, they just sat back. Yes. City still found a way.
Yes.
So City will always find a way. So he will play both sides. I think he will go counter-attack, for me, to be honest with you, to just try and stop conceding an early goal.
I think for me as well, I'd like to talk about the United game. One thing about United which Copenhagen can't do is, like, United did drop off, but they didn't do anything. They were just passive.
Yes.
You know what I mean? So there's a point of having bodies on the field, and there's having bodies on the field doing something. So I think, you know, for them, that's their big flaw, because they perceive themselves to be in the right position. But when you allow the best players in the world time and space to do what they want, they'll literally pick you apart, which is what we saw from City. So for me, in terms of Copenhagen, yeah, you can have the low block or whatever it's called, but you can't be passive. If you're passive against this side, you finish. Like, prime example, Haaland's third goal. He's basically walked his way into the box. And United say they've got 3-4 players in there. But did anyone stop his run? No. Did anybody affect it? No. What happened? Another goal winner.
Yeah, that's it. Would you know what? Sorry, go on, Paul.
Copenhagen's point of view, there's a bit of a free hit for them tonight as well.
Yeah.
You know, nobody's expecting them to do anything. Them themselves, look, you never go into a game you think they're going to get beat, but there's times you go into a game and you think,
this is going to be hard.
Out here.
To turn the tables on you, Cal, if you were playing against this City side, what would you be thinking in your head?
In my head?
Yeah, you're playing against City side. You don't normally play an English side, and now you're playing against City.
I'd just try and make whoever was marking me remember me.
Yeah.
And just give everything I had. Run your hardest. Try and be as committed as you can. And as long as you do your best, ultimately, innit? That's all you can do.
So that's what City should expect, because that's the right mentality to face when you're playing against a side that's as good as City, that have the sort of like success that they have and the success they aspire to be as well.
Yeah.
Copenhagen probably aren't thinking going to win the Champions League. But if they win this game, this might be the biggest win that they've had in their whole careers. We're not going to do it.
We were talking before, weren't we?
Yeah, we were.
And we were saying, like, going back, I know we're going to talk about the derby coming up for the weekend, but we're saying that when we played, we went into the derbies not expecting to win.
Yeah.
But we went in there expecting to give them a hard game.
Yes.
To make it as hard as you possibly could for them in every game that you played in. That was first and foremost in their head. And I fully expect that the Copenhagen players will be...
Yeah, they will do the same thing. They will work hard, they will fight. They'll just make it difficult, regardless of what the score may be or is going to be. Yeah. They're not going to come here and...
You know yourself as a player and as a team that there's levels.
Yeah.
Yes.
And teams you're playing against, it's levels. And all you can hope is that your work rate, your attitude, how you approach the game, that you can close that level a little bit more to make it better for you.
And that's it. And as well, I mean, the manager thing's only come in recently as well, so obviously as well it'll be a point for the players as well to make sure that they are always in his thinking. We can actually now hear from Danish football expert Joe Short, so we're going to bring him into the conversation. He's been letting us know what we can expect from FC Copenhagen, and he's going to tell us that right now.
Copenhagen are one of those teams that are almost always in Europe. I think it's 14 out of the last 16 seasons that they've been in a European group stage. But, you know, they're not Real Madrid, Barcelona, blah, 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 blah. They're never going to be the kind of team that is
always challenging for those top honours. But because they're always in Europe and because they're usually dominating in the Danish league, there has to be a kind of a balance between how do you play football in the Danish league, where you're usually like in charge of the games, you're dictating the flow of the games, attacks, defense, stuff like that. But then how do you also then change that style when you have to be more defensively in European competition, when you're coming up against these massive European clubs? So I think from that kind of standpoint, Nystrup will probably, I assume, kind of go down what was the Ståle Solbakken route, which is it's kind of like total control, maybe a bit like Pep Guardiola, the absolute solid defensive unit and a disciplined midfield, and then a steady build-up of possession. That's what Copenhagen have kind of been used to in the Danish Superliga for years, because they were usually playing against the flat back 10. Well, maybe not usually, but they're often playing against the flat back 10. But suddenly when you're in Europe, you're up against a team that's of your quality, or sometimes in the case of City, greater than your quality. So yeah, you do have to change. There has to be that flexibility. And I'm fairly confident Nystrup will do that, whether that's in the mould of Solbakken or maybe in the mould of Jes Torup, which was maybe a little bit looser, a little bit more flexible with kind of how to build up attacking play. We'll have to see, because we just don't know yet. Players to look out for, I think, on the left wing, there's young Victor Christensen and Mohamed Daramy both playing on the left. So Christensen at fullback and then Daramy kind of the left of a forward three. Those two have both come up the Copenhagen ranks and are like considered exceptional players. Hopefully, Daramy's actually come back from Ajax on loan just to get some more game time, but hopefully those two, we'll see them in international football for years to come. Copenhagen fans are pretty loud. They're very well regimented. They effectively take what they do in Section 12, which is the home goal, like the stand behind the home goal in Parken Stadium, and then just like replicate it effectively wherever they go, whether it's in the Superliga or in Europe. What's great about the Danes is they're not just loud, but because their English is so good, they can chant in English and they can really make their home fans realise that they're kind of being taken the mick out of. So we can probably expect a bit of that. And yeah, Copenhagen have like a strong fan base, and I think like Danes, Norwegians, Swedes come to England all the time to watch Premier League games. So I think this is a well-trodden route probably for a lot of fans.
Thank you so much to Danish football expert Joe Short there. Quite interesting then, Paul, as well, looking like it might be a bit of tasty on that right-hand side for us then, well, left-hand side for Copenhagen. So Mahrez and Cancelo might have their hands full by the sounds of it.
By the sounds of it, yeah, but I think they might have their hands full a little bit more. But interesting to see what he was saying there, that they're usually the team in the Danish Superliga that dominate the ball and want to play it for the back and everything else. I can't see them doing that at all tonight.
No.
But, Nedum keeps saying it's the Champions League. It's top level football, and more than anything else, they'll want to come here and give a really good account of themselves. There's many a time we've seen it here that we've beat teams just recently as well, 6 and things, 7s, and there's even been 8s and 5s. So they'll want to come here and just try and give a good account of themselves and see where it takes them.
And I guess as well, Shaun, kind of still we've had that little thing lingering where we have gone behind a few times this season, even the last Champions League game against Dortmund. So I guess that'll be in City's mind as well, maybe just to make sure that doesn't happen in this game.
Yeah, I think it'll be there not to concede those early goals or to concede any goals, to be honest with you. But I think what we've all learned from that, including the fans especially, and even for the players, that if they go behind, they've got the capabilities to come back and then some. So I think to show that sort of resilience and the characteristics to deal with that, in whether it's Champions League or it's Premier League, it only puts us in a good position, because we are going to come up against some teams that will take the lead against us. And the biggest thing is that reaction after they take the lead, especially in a competition like this, because if your reaction's wrong, that lead can double or triple. If you have the right reaction, then you can turn it around.
Now, we'll wrap up speaking about Copenhagen. There might be some young fans out there who wondered, have City ever come up against FC Copenhagen, Nedum? And To any young City fans who wonder, is this the first time we played? What would you say?
Not as I remember it, to be honest, mate. No.
He needs to
Not
change
as I-
the way he's sitting.
Yeah, not as I remember it. I feel like we played it before.
It feels like story time with Daddy Nedum.
I'm just trying to think. Have we played against him before? I feel like I have.
Is it a distant dream? A distant memory there?
I picture it now.
Hang on.
It's UEFA Cup, away from home. I picture it now. I somehow find myself running through 1v1. Oh, this has to be a dream. Has to be a dream.
I don't know.
Here we go.
I mean, I don't know who was filming it.
Look.
Oh, what a finish!
Power.
Oh, look at that. You open up the side and you just... What?
Can you just talk me through your technique?
Okay. So, here we go.
Defender to striker, please.
So here we go, yeah? All right. So when I was younger, academy, I was a striker, and the finish was to always go far side, yeah? Out inside of the foot. And I was doing that because I used to love watching Thierry Henry do it.
That little bendy one out.
Exactly, yeah. So here we are, 5 years on from me being a striker, and somehow I'm running through on goal. I look to my right, Craig Bellamy's screaming for a cutback. I'm like, no, it's not happening. I've got this under control. So I open up my hips, whip it, look up, realise it's not whipped and it's not near the corner. So I'm panicking now because Bellamy's about to tuck me in.
You whipped it off your heel.
Well, but as you can see, though, it threw off the goalkeeper. There was something about those balls. Maybe it was a Jabalani, I don't know. But at the end of the day, you know, you find yourself in those positions sometimes.
Maybe those hips didn't open up, bro. They were still straight.
If unfortunately we don't have the full video, but I was laughing my head off after he went in, and it's the first time I called my shot because the day before when we trained, like that stand was being redeveloped, and it had a picture up of like drawn on fans, and I remember saying if I score, I'm going to celebrate in front of that and stick my arms up. So you know, the next day I scored and that end.
Goal's a goal, mate.
Listen,
Goal is a goal.
I didn't get many of them.
Exactly.
Listen, they all count.
And do you think as well it was the way the technique fooled the keeper?
So I always found this in my career. If I'm ever coming out from the back and I get to like the midfield area, everyone's confused and they don't know how to tackle me. So at the same time, sometimes when I'm having a shot, they're like, what's this guy doing here? And then what was this shot? You know what I mean? He's switched off because he thought this is the most routine like thing he's ever received in his life. But you see, you've got to stay on your toes.
Got to stay on your toes.
Got to stay on your toes.
Lessons there, Shaun. What do you make of that? You happy for Nedum there?
I just think he should stop speaking about it the way he does and just say he scored the goal.
That goal was celebrated by thousands of Man City fans when we were on tour in Europe. You know what I mean? That was a great run. Made it to the quarterfinals, and you know, no thanks to that goal.
Great stadium to play in, isn't it?
Yeah, it was nice over there.
I won a European Cup Winners' Cup medal. So shall we move on now?
Did he score? Did he score in that stadium? Did he score in that stadium?
There we go.
Did he score in that stadium?
No, he left with a medal though.
Let's not worry about that.
I love it, and I'm sure you're loving it too. If you just tune
Waiting so long to say that. Just take me on. Come on, say some more.
It's all going off here in the studio because we've got an absolute beautiful triple header in the form of Shaun, Wright-Phillips, Paul Dickov and Nedum Onuoha. And I'm Cel Spellman, and I can bring you our starting 11 if you have just tuned in. Honestly, there's many more laughs to come because in just a second we're going to look back on the derby, and let me tell you, good old big laugh to be had there. But first, our team playing Copenhagen tonight at the Etihad starts with Ederson in goal, a back four of Cancelo, then Diaz, Laporte, and our young, of course, Garcia there on the left-hand side. Then it is Ilkay Gundogan in the middle alongside Bernardo Silva, and we're thinking Julian Alvarez here in the studio might kind of complete that three as a figurehead. Over on the wings, you've got Jack Grealish, Riyad Mahrez, and of course, completing our 11 is our Nordic Viking, Erling Haaland. We have got as well on the bench Ortega, Carson, Ake, Rodrigo, De Bruyne, Akanji, Foden, Palmer, Lewis, and Wilson Esbrand. Right, gents and everyone at home, shall we tuck into what was the Derby Day demolition job? We shall indeed. Let's begin with this, though. Those were the men of the match because 2 hat-trick balls were given out. And gosh, also, can I say on this, has Haaland's hair not grown so quickly? I got hair envy, but Nedum, I'll begin with you. I mean, what can you summarise how you were feeling come the end of Sunday and what that performance was?
Right, I was desperate for anyone to give me work. I just wanted to talk about it. Someone, there must be a mic or a camera somewhere. Let me discuss. But yeah, it was an incredible, not just result, but performance. The way that sort of like United were coming into the game, there was this sense that, not that United were back, but that they were better. 15 minutes in, it's like, no, they're not. Or maybe they are, but City are just incredible. And to be able to see the difference between the two sides was truly amazing. Haaland was incredible, Foden incredible, KDB, Gundogan, like, and as Paul was saying at the start of the show, you know, you saw that, like, Ruben Diaz wasn't playing, you saw that Rodri wasn't playing. Like, these are two key players for City. Next up, incredible. Gundogan was special, like, Akanji, Ake, incredible. And you're just watching the game. And do you know what? It was the first proper time for me personally where I was just watching. I said, this is a joy. This is a true joy. Because sometimes we see it against, like, non-rivals as such. But it was a joy because they were so good. And it almost felt like a privilege to see them just destroy a team and to see them really enjoy doing it as well. Yeah. They were clinical, but then there was joy at the end of it. Because sometimes, you know, they can say, do this and, like, do high five to each other. But the crowd were into it. The players were into it. And what a time to be blue. Like, that feeling at half-time there, being 4-0 up against Man United and playing as good as that now when it could have been 6 or 7. Like, that's rare air. That's incredible for sure.
I mean, Shaun, as well, I mean, I don't think any United fan will say they definitely weren't at the best. But how much of it was United weren't at the best, but how good City were, particularly in that first half?
That's why they wasn't at their best. I think City put them in that position. They didn't know what to do, where to go. Like, it got mentioned earlier in the show when Nedum said about the passive defending. If you give players like that any form of time, even if it's a second, they can embarrass you. And I think City did that from the get-go. Like, the whole play, they was just probing. Especially for Foden's first goal, the same thing. He just run across the box, probed, and he just wandered in there.
Yeah,
and it's just literally like it was training. Just wandered in there, and that was carrying on all the way through the game, all over the park. Even when people were saying there's a low block, oh, they're pressing high now. They wasn't pressing high. They was just like standing in areas higher up the pitch, which then even made it even easier for City to create more space and cause more problems. And I loved every minute of it, and I had the pleasure of, like, sitting beside Scholesy and Michael Owen, winding them up along the way through this show.
What was Scholesy saying? How did he take it?
He was upset as well, but he did the same thing as Gary Neville at the start of it when he saw Diaz and obviously Rodri weren't playing. They thought they had a chance. And I said, I don't personally think so, but let's see what happens. And I think it goes to show that no matter how much of a key player those players are within this team, City still do not rely on those key players to get the results or to put out the performances they do.
Yeah, absolutely. I think we're going to try and do a focus on that as well in a couple of shows' time as well. Like you say, the system is very much working. You quickly there, we'll look at Haaland's goal as well, but the Foden finish for that first goal as well, Paul, was exquisite.
Fantastic. Yeah, just so easy and natural. It's a bit like Nedum's one that we've seen before.
Yeah, you need to loosen up the hips. You know, because Phil saw me do that in Europe, he was inspired to do it in the derby. 100%. Makes perfect sense.
But no, great play. And you know, just before that, with 3 or 4 shots that had been blocked and maybe should have scored, and you sort of think, is it going to be one of them games? And then for that to happen in this one, I love the determination in his face.
Yeah.
As he's going to get, nobody's beating him there.
Yeah. Tomine's massive.
Yeah, but
he's like, you look just tiny.
Scholesy and them were trying to say, because Varane was off the pitch. I said, it doesn't matter. I said, look, if a giant like that is running at you full tilt.
Varane was on the pitch for about 5 other goals, wasn't he?
But yeah. Well, you're on fire tonight, mate. I love it. And then let's get to the. I mean, this goal. I think you're all going to be able to say something about it because, Nedum, you try kick us off.
Nah, I can't help you with that. Like, you could say Sancho could apply more pressure to De Bruyne, which is fair, but the run from Haaland and the nature of that ball, like, it's perfect. It literally is perfect. You could try and do a training drill and it wouldn't work out that well. Try and do a training drill with mannequins. Like, that's not on. Like, what?
That ball.
Like, Varane could stick his leg out, it's an own goal. You know what I mean? Like, it's perfect. Maybe Martinez could not be 5'8", be 5'9". Maybe he would have got his head to it. But, like, at the end of the day, like, it's a perfect ball. It's a perfect run. And for me, these two players, as it goes, might be one of the best 9-10 combinations in Premier League history.
Wow.
That's how I'm seeing it right now because, like, Kevin De Bruyne is like a pure 10 and Haaland's like a pure 9. And the way they're linking up at the minute, like, what you can't name 3-4 others that are better as it stands.
He's got no right to play that ball.
No.
Even with his body shape and he's approaching it and the pace he's going at.
But that's why
I'm thinking he's going to have to take a touch and shoot here.
Yeah.
Yeah, but that's why I think Sancho doesn't like go for it.
He scored a few goals like that. He scored one against Chelsea. Like, oh, it's stuck under my feet. Oh
Yeah,
my
and
God.
then he just digs it
and the
out.
next thing is, oh no, there's a goal. Okay.
That's so interesting, Paul. So you were saying there, sorry, because I mean, as you say, you'll see things that we kind of don't. But like what his body position, everything was saying that's not what he should be going. Really, wow.
I'm thinking he's going to either just take a touch in and hit it with his left foot, like he does with no back lift. Because you look at United, have got six defenders against 2 players, and it just didn't look on. And when he done it, I was just like, wow.
Yeah.
I mean, the finish is great, the movement, we all know that, but to play that ball.
It's
just
it's not.
This is unbelievable.
This isn't a bad ball either.
This is giving him another his bow.
I mean, if De Bruyne plays that ball, you don't.
Everybody raves about it. Yeah, the way he looks up so early as well and sees Foden there, and he just rolls it across. There's not that much power on it. It's set up for Foden to hit first time. It's a perfect pass.
I think as well, and now seeing it's Foden popping up in, he has done it before, but it was last season, it was Raheem Sterling that was in these positions, for his first and second goal. It seems to be now it's Foden that's taken on that mantle of hitting and driving into the box, which is something I know Pep has kind of been wanting a bit more from him. So we probably hopefully might see more goals as a result of that this season from him.
Well, I've seen it already with the goals that he scored.
Yeah.
The majority of them are inside the box or coming onto it like that one there. But just going back, I know we keep talking about Haaland. What I loved about that assist there is, but people talk about him just being a pure number 9. He just wants to shoot, he just wants to score. He could have took a shot there.
Yeah.
After already, he's not scored long before that.
See it again here.
He's making the run here. As he's gone in there, I'm actually thinking myself, he's just going to leather that first.
It's a perfect ball, isn't it?
But whether that's something that's been brought into his game already since he's been at the club. At Dortmund, he was the main figure all the time. He was the one that they looked to, and if he's at Dortmund, he looks to either take a touch and shoot there and come inside. But now his appreciation of the players that's around him is growing and getting better all the time.
I think as well at that point, I mean, that was only half-time, which was frightening, and there were Chinese whispers that apparently you could hear the United dressing room going off at half-time, which I'm sure made for great listening.
Yeah, I heard that. The best caption we got, because it flashed up on the screen while we was all doing the punditry, was all the Man United fans leaving before the half-time whistle. And I was dying, obviously. The other two were raging, but I was laughing. I was like, that's embarrassing. Like, you don't just leave.
You see with this goal, like, at no point is anyone near the City player. So, like, you see lots of red, but it's not doing anything.
Yes.
You know what I mean? And to be fair, some of that comes from when Jack squares up Dalot being on a yellow card, he's reluctant to step forward.
Yeah.
But, like, if you're going to do this against City, basically, just mannequins.
Yeah.
And this basically a training drill. And, like, people in training drills are immaculate. For City, that's basically how they treat Man United for certain spells.
And as well, for young Garcia to get that assist as well must do well.
Desperate for high five them.
I know, I'm so glad.
I was like reaching out to him.
Innit? But for young Garcia as well to get the assist as well, because actually as well...
You're saying Garcia or Gomez?
Gomez, sorry. If you when he started the move further back, it was him, I think, that actually began the drive from fullback. He plays it into Kev and then carries on his run. That must give you so much confidence as well, and to have someone put it away.
Yeah, for
because he was doing that for Anderlecht all last season.
Yeah, for sure. And the thing is, the way City recruit people, they try and find people that will fit into the system that City require from them. So him going forward at that point, at that level, like, that's in the forefront of his mind because he's probably done it so many times before.
Yes.
And he understands that's the right decision. And the players who are on the field, they're good enough to be able to say to him, this is the right place to be. There have been times in the past where you'd see, like, Kevin with the ball at his feet and he'd say to someone, go this way or go that way. Like, it does that less now because people know they need to go this way and know to go that way.
Yes.
And so as a consequence, all the passes, like, City could score 100 goals this season. They'll score some incredible goals from, like, 30 yards out. But the vast majority will be just like that because it's a series of correct decisions that give you the best opportunity. And him being in that spot is the right place for the ball going wide to go in the box, for someone to slam it in and someone to sit down.
And do that.
It's no secret. That's what we do day in, day out in training.
Yes,
You just can't turn up on a Saturday or a Sunday and play football like that.
Like, you probably saw this as much as a manager as you did as a player. Like, the right decision isn't always the easy decision because for Gomez, at that point, he could have just stayed back because City were winning. Could have stayed on the halfway line. But it's the right decision to go forward.
Yes.
Put yourself in that position because now it creates an opportunity for someone to pass in the ball, which then means that someone else can make a run somewhere else. Whereas, like, as you said before with the Foden thing, at the back post, easiest job in the world could be to just not get in the box, and just hang about. But he wants all these people want to impact the game, and they don't want to just help themselves, they want to help their teammates. Because he makes that run 10 times and he might not get played it 8 times, but he'll continue making that run. It's the right run to make.
Because they know eventually it'll happen.
And you've got role models on the pitch like Kevin De Bruyne, who doesn't stop running, Bernardo Silva, that shows that desire, and you've got to keep at that level. You were in Oslo, Paul, watching the game, and I just wondered, you said about the reaction, the atmosphere, but what's their take on Haaland, you know, and how were they feeling about it?
It's just it's ridiculous. I'm just trying to think of the word. Just everywhere you went, all you seen was 9 Haaland.
Really?
Whether it be in a Norwegian shirt, national shirt, or obviously the City shirts when we went to the Puma store. But not just young kids, all ages, grown men, women. Everywhere you went, it was Haaland, Haaland, shirts, Haaland. We went to the TV studios and done stuff with Erik Bakke and Stefan Everson from Norwegian TV. And they wanted to do interviews just about the Premier League in general, about Man City, and they ended up chatting for 40 minutes, and all they spoke about was this guy here. You know, he's a phenomenon, and they all knew how good he was. I don't think, from the Norwegians' point of view, I don't think they expected him to be as good as he is already. But they feel he's already got better as a player in the short space of time. Which is a scary thing, and I still think there's more to come. Which is the
he's 22, isn't he?
Yeah.
He's 22. You know what I mean?
Which is the scariest thing. But no, he's absolutely adored and loved, and quite rightly so. You know, he's not just a superstar in Norway. He's a world superstar. He's just going to get bigger and bigger and bigger. But they also say, which we've seen already since he's been at the club, the best thing about him is the humility that he's got and how much he does in his own country. You know, we went to we'd done a disabled soccer school, which was the people that were there were fantastic, but Alfie and Erling go there all the time and they come back just to see them and help them out and do a bit of coaching.
Brilliant.
And everything else. So as much as he is way up there, the humility that it shows and what he wants to give back to his people in Norway is great to see. And
I guess as well that's the reason why he's probably bedded in as well so quickly. I think Pep was saying that as well. It's one, who he is as a person, and obviously you've got great lads around you, but ultimately you've got to be a good person, which he clearly is. And did you reckon that comes from his dad, Paul?
Absolutely.
Yeah.
His dad was a little bit boring, but
I said that.
No, he wasn't. No, 100%. You know, even you see traits in completely different positions, different players, but the mental strength, the work rate that Alfie had on and off the pitch, you know, and just wanted to help people all the time. Because when he came to us, he'd had a lot of experience in the Premier League.
He did by then.
But we hadn't at Manchester City because we'd been out of it for so long. And he was a great influence off the pitch as well, he was on it. And I think we're seeing that with Erling as well.
Absolutely. Well, the goals didn't stop there. There's still one more for us to show as well. And if one hat-trick wasn't enough, Phil Foden thought, go on, I'll get another one for you. And, I mean, Shaun again, Kevin De Bruyne with beautiful work. Great run here from Jack.
This just sums Jack up. That he's learned how to mix his game up a lot more, but like you said, you give people that much time and...
There's so many red shirts.
You could have threw a blanket on them and neither of them communicated or even knew where Foden was. Haaland has so much time to turn, and effectively by the time that tackle comes, he's already know where he's passing the ball, but it's too late, and he gets it through, and it's a great first touch. And he just bangs it in the corner, and United players are devastated. I was laughing, but they would be gutted. But they were more interested in that being out. And you learn that at schoolboy. You don't stop until the whistle's gone. You don't just stand still and let people go past you. And that's what he did, and we capitalised on it.
We've had a question coming in from Lewis, I think, which will wrap up this chat. And when we were speaking about here, it's, you know, I think the sky is the limit for this lad, you know, and where it can potentially go. Phil spoke about after the game that they're starting to understand each other and link up. Because I think it's easy to forget he's only been here 3 months. So do you think we're starting to see that? And actually, when they start clicking even more, we're going to see more goals, I'm guessing, that kind of understanding. What is it that they mean when they talk about that, players?
I think lots of different partnerships all across the field, whether it's like goalkeepers, centre-backs, like right-backs, right-wingers, centre-mids, you know what I mean, 10, 9. So it's a case of like almost understanding that, you know, sometimes you give someone a look and they know what it means. I'm going to run this way, you're going to play me in. Timing issues, you know, stuff like that. And understanding that, you know, when Haaland's out on the left wing, he knows Foden's breaking his back to get across. So they'll play it, and they can almost, at times, play it blind because you know and understand what someone's going to do. You know people's tendencies, whether they're going to be trying to flick it on, whether they're going to try and take 2 touches, whether someone prefers it on the left, prefers it on the right, someone wants to run in behind. Because I think we saw in the Community Shield game, you know, some of the timing was a bit off, some of the understanding was a bit off. They were trying to do, like, Haaland was trying to do something, KDB wasn't necessarily in tune with it. But now, like, KDB gets the ball at his feet, Haaland sets off. Because they both know exactly where the ball needs to go.
Yes.
And lo and behold, there's a guy waiting there to do something ridiculous, to knock it into the goal. You know, whereas in times gone by, like, the ball might be at KDB's feet and Haaland's standing short. Well, he wants him long.
Yes.
But it's now the understanding between them. And the same for, like, Foden. Foden wants to have a huge impact. And again, that's what I love about him. For as good as he is technically, like, you can see he's just an obsessed winner. Yeah. You know what I mean? So how's he going to pick the game? Well, Haaland knows exactly how. So when they step out on the field, it's like we're going to do this together, as opposed to having 11 individuals like some clubs sometimes have.
Yeah, absolutely.
At the same time, Kel, that's not... go back to it, it's no secret that they work in these things in training.
Yeah.
Yes.
You know, they're not just going out there and it's clicking like that. You know, and the little runs, like whoever's got the ball centrally and the little diagonal runs down the side, that's something that they work on in training.
Yeah.
Getting in at the back post. You know, getting down the sides of teams, getting the touch out and whipping it in. They do that every single day.
Yeah.
You know, and the more they do it, the quality of some of the best players in the world in this team.
Yeah.
You know, and the more they do it, the better they're going to get. But as I'm saying, Phil and Erling are now getting this little connection together. KDB's got it with them as well. So it's not just that one connection that they're getting; they're having it all over the pitch.
Yeah, this is why it's be a nightmare to play against, because you could go into a game thinking I'm going to stop this guy, and you realise the service is coming from everywhere.
Yeah,
you know what I mean? And then all
yeah.
of a sudden it's like, well, what do we
do now?
Yeah.
The question from Lewis, Shaun, then I'll put it to you, is how many more levels does Erling Haaland have before he reaches his peak? Where do we think his peak could be, I guess, is the
right
ultimate
now,
question.
Just watching him, I only think he's at level 2 right now.
Wow.
I still think, like these guys have just said, there's so much more to come. Like, he's 3 months into his gel time and bonding time with the boys, to have an understanding what each other want from each other and what he has to give back. And we're already seeing him basically terrorise the Premier League to the point where nobody knows how to stop him. Everyone's talking about man marking him. If you man mark him, then you leave Kevin De Bruyne, Phil Foden, Jack Grealish one-on-one or free.
Yeah,
so you can't just man mark one person at City and double up on them, because it doesn't work. They just find another solution, and there's gap, then you leave in spaces. So for me, I still think there's a lot more to come. Like, I heard an interview from Pep, well, I don't know if it was Pep, but I heard something about Haaland. He asked him to be more involved, come a bit off the defenders more against United. That's what he did. He gets 2 assists from it.
Yeah.
His first 3 games, we never saw that.
Yeah.
So,
It's evolving already. Yeah.
And that's exactly my point. And if he does come off and somebody comes up, the chances are, unless they foul him, they're not strong enough to move him away from the ball. And once he gets turned, he's got the power and strength to go past you. And now we've seen he has the vision to put it on the plate for another player to score.
And as well, like, for people who play multiple years, you come up against opposition multiple times. So you then start to learn the tendencies of being successful in the league and against those teams, both home and away. You know, and that's when the level of intelligence can come, because you might come up against someone, say, one week, who wants to be exceptionally physical with him and doesn't want him to kick the ball at all. Well, how does he perform in that game? Perhaps it's going to be different. Maybe he's just going to go and move away to create space for somebody else. So I think for people who are watching, they might not necessarily observe that he's being different, but his team will know how invaluable it is that he understands what's required of him on any particular game, because at the minute he scores goals, so we think that's all he's going to do. But there's going to be a ton more that's going to be added if he wants to help the club be successful.
Absolutely.
It's actually quite ridiculous. You know, he's got 17 goals in all competitions, and it's October the 5th.
Oh,
Yeah.
You know, it's
scary.
I mean, we stats before the show, and it's some of these Haaland stats, and they were going around after the United game, the quickest to the hat-trick, the goals that they'd scored in comparison to Messi and Ronaldo at that age. It just is...
It's poorly.
It's out this
He's poorly. I can't even...
But you go into this game tonight expecting him to score another hat-trick.
Which is bonkers. Bonkers, you know what I mean? Like, I think it's like we need to feel what normal actually will be, because to be here right now where we're thinking, oh, you know, is Haaland playing? Oh, there's 3 goals. You know what I mean?
Here's another one.
It's not normal. Like, even Messi's and Ronaldo's and stuff, for as like incredible as they've been in their careers, there wasn't this sense like there's an inevitable hat trick.
Yes.
You know what I mean? But for Haaland, here it is, and like, what's the bar? He's going to get criticised tomorrow if he scores one.
I know, innit?
What I mean? Like, what spot are we in where that's the case?
And he's got the team around him to do it. I mean, we could have actually probably spent the next 20 minutes speaking about every player on that pitch. I mean, I will special mention to the Akanji and Aki partnership, never played together before, looked like they played all season, and a word for Bernardo Silva from myself, because that man was the driving force behind that team. I thought, gosh, he was phenomenal. Quickly, Shaun.
Akanji and Laporte that started?
No, Akanji and Ake. Don't worry.
I thought you'd done the game.
I did. That's the worst thing about it.
You see, I distanced myself.
Sorry, Shaun.
It's the I'm tired.
Well, we're going to need you. Well, you're all going to need to brighten up now because we've got a little game for you. It's a classic, Shaun. It's one of your favourites. Higher or lower?
I don't mind that one.
Okay.
We like this one.
Yeah.
We've done this one.
Okay, right. So here's how it's going to work. So we're going to have here most appearances by a Danish player in the Premier League. Okay. So right up, we're going to begin with here Daniel Agger, 175 appearances when he moved to I think it was Liverpool, wasn't it, from Bromby. 9 assists in that time, 73 clean sheets. Up next, can you tell me higher or lower? Thomas Sorensen.
Where was he? Was it Sunderland? Or where was he?
Sunderland.
Stoke.
Of course, a goalkeeper.
You said he's a Premier League appearances.
Premier League appearances.
Was he have a second choice?
I'm going for
a bit as well.
Was he?
I'm going for high.
You're going higher?
Yeah, I'm going high.
So yeah, Daniel Agger was 175. What are you thinking?
The boys are thinking.
If he's having appearances for both of those.
Yeah. 3-6-4.
How long?
No, it's on.
You're right, 3-6-4, spot on.
Don't even worry about that.
Yeah.
There we go. Okay, then we've got Bjarne Goldbeck.
Bjarne Goldbeck.
Bjarne Goldbeck.
It's got to be less.
Thank you.
Yeah, way less.
Lower?
Yeah.
Straight up, we're locking it in.
Yeah.
There we go. Attacking midfielder there, 51 appearances. Then it's followed up by...
The thing about Kasper, though...
Here we go,
He only really came into the Prem in 2014.
Yeah, but he's made more than 51, hasn't he?
Yeah, that's what I'm
but
saying.
I'm just thinking for the next thing anyway. Yeah, it's higher. I was lost. I was thinking about the 3-6-4. The 51 didn't even register in my mind. Go on, higher, let's go.
Higher, let's go.
Kick off, let's go.
All right, now here we go. Interesting. Followed up by his dad, of course, one of the most famous goalkeepers, one of the best goalkeepers, played for both City and United.
How long was he at United for?
That's higher.
Yeah, it's higher.
Yeah,
we're saying higher, let's find out. Bang, bang, 310. Not too far, though. All right. I'm sure he'll be wanting to forget Sunday, but hell of a player, of course, and it's great to see him back playing football as well. Christian Eriksen, of course, made his name for it in the Premier League at Spurs, now at United. Higher or lower than Peter Schmeichel?
yeah.
I'm thinking lower.
Yeah, I'd say lower, because he had a spell in Italy as well, didn't he?
Yeah, 310's like 10 years worth of it, so lower.
Lower? We're locked in lower. There we go again. Strong from the lads. This is great. Okay. Brian Laudrup up next.
Premier League.
Premier League.
Has to be lower.
Lower. Spot on. Interestingly, only 7 appearances.
Higher for Christensen, yeah?
So that's then going to help with, of course, Andre Christensen of the Chelsea fame.
Yep.
Saying?
Higher.
We have to hear it. Yeah. There's terms and conditions to these. This isn't just any old little game. This is proper.
Is a tricky one now.
Okay. Up next, another Tour de Force, famous for his spell in West London, Grongja. I think that's how you pronounce it.
Grongja.
Yeah, Grongja.
Was he anywhere else, or was he just Chelsea?
Just Chelsea from where? No.
Was it Charlton or something? Where was he?
He was actually he made appearances for Chelsea.
Just Chelsea.
Yeah, for Chelsea, and then he made his way to Birmingham. Gonna need an answer, boys.
You think? What'd you say?
I'm thinking higher.
Yeah, higher.
Higher. We're gonna go higher.
Wait.
No, wait.
Okay. Then Martin Lowson, big centre back.
All right, higher. We'll go with Chiefs.
Saying higher.
Chief, man.
Just
Let's
breathe.
slow down.
There we go.
So you could have said something. You could have said something.
I went to the last time. Went to the last time. You said don't slow it down.
All right. Okay, you neared the clean sweep, but can you redeem yourself with a familiar name and familiar face? Nicholas Jensen. Was it higher or lower than those appearances? 84 appearances. Did he do more or less in the Premier League?
Dark hair.
Or did he come win the championship?
I prefer not to speak.
I'm gonna say.
Yep.
I'm gonna say lower.
Lower. Yeah. Locked in from Paul and Shaun to round it off. Bang, bang, 49 appearances. Lads,
Just leave it to us two.
right, I'm gonna listen, I'm gonna bring Nedum back around when we do that.
Listen, I'm good, mate.
You okay?
I'm good, mate. Don't worry about me.
All right.
Don't worry about me.
Let's hear from the man himself, of course, as well. We can hear from Nicholas Jensen. Here he is speaking about himself, speaking about Copenhagen, of course, speaking about his time at Manchester City as well.
To be honest, the second I walked in at the training facilities, I could just feel that this club was going somewhere. The potential was there, and then I felt okay to go there and play in the second league and in the championship, and kind of use the first 3, 4, 5 months to integrate and to get used to living in England and playing over there would be beneficial. So when we then hopefully would go up to the Premier League, I would have been in the club already for some months. So it would make the life in Premier League a bit easier for me. So first when I went over there in January, I had no doubts, and I couldn't wait to get things done and start my career there really. And luckily the season was already kicking. So I got my first minutes very quickly and settled in the team and the club and the city very fast. So that was a good choice. It all came down to Kevin Keegan really, and his philosophy and his style of playing, which just suited me very well. A lot of focus on what do we do when we have the ball, and go out there and enjoy yourself and just have a good time and try and play nice football. And in our team back then, we had a lot of great footballers who really enjoyed having the ball and playing some nice football in my opinion anyway. So it really came down to the managers. In my time, maybe the general what would you say opinion was that the fullbacks were like the last position that you you kind of use and focus on, but for sure in modern football, everyone can see now how important it is to have good attacking fullbacks, because obviously on the side is where most of the time you can find some space. When you're playing football, you spend so much time with your teammates in certain periods, more time than with your own family. So for me, it was also through my whole career very important to have a good relationship with those players I played with, and yeah, with the two Shauns and Sherrod Beakins, many of these guys, we had a very good atmosphere in the dressing room. But I keep track and follow those teams a bit more intensively, obviously, and root for them when they're playing. So it's a big dilemma, this Champions League group right now, where 3 of my former clubs are in the same group. But then in the end, I'm probably gonna win anyway. So so it's good and bad, really. Copenhagen has been the dominant club in Denmark for 20 odd years now. Right now, they're not at their very best. They just changed the manager as well. So it's a little bit uncertain on how they will react to that. They still have some good players, and for sure in Denmark, they should be dominant, and with the budgets, etc., they should kind of win the league every single year. In the Champions League, of course, if they can get the 3rd spot and play Europa League after Christmas, it will be a great success, a big achievement, but it's going to be very hard. So even I can't see City have many problems with Copenhagen, but on a good day, they are a tough opponent anyway, because they have a good structure and they're not always easy to play against. But obviously, Man City is on a whole different level than Copenhagen is. So I expect that they will win comfortably. Yeah.
So great to hear from former Manchester City player Nicholas Jensen there. And in the spirit of Nicholas Jensen, and thank you for his time and his words there as well, we got another game in the form of What Happens Next. So we're going to show you a little clip, and then we need you to WhatsApp over your answers. And then at half-time, we're going to be looking through some of your answers, and then we'll reveal who got it correct. So take a look at this clip. It is of Nicholas Jensen. Can you, some of you might remember this, can you tell us what happened next? Nicholas Anelka here.
Danny Mills keeping up with Anelka.
Was he though?
Oh yeah.
Right.
I remember.
So you've got 4 choices here: A, B, C, and D. It's a bit of deliberation here in the studio between Shaun and Paul. If you think you know, get in your WhatsApp guesses, and we'll be revealing what happens next in a little bit. There's that all-important WhatsApp number: A, B, C, or D. Where do you think that ball went? Beautiful ball over as well.
The music, wow.
I tell you, it's proper.
It's legit, isn't it?
I tell you what.
Wow, okay.
Don't worry about that. It's proper production value here on Matchday Live.
No expense spared on that.
No expense spared indeed. OK, right, before we get final thoughts from our guests in the studio, over on commentary today, we've got Alistair Mann and Shaun Goater. So remember, if you download the Manchester City app, that's where you can get exclusive access to City Plus and exclusive Matchday Live commentary from Alistair Mann and Shaun Goater this evening, and we can hear what they had to say ahead of our game against Copenhagen tonight.
Yeah, well, this evening I'm really excited when I see this team, the squad tonight. We've got Gomez on the left coming in, which is exciting to see him get get close to 90 minutes, hopefully. But more interesting is Laporte coming back from a long injury, and also Diaz coming in. I'm really looking forward to those two getting back to form. Cancelo will be obviously in the right back. Gundogan, who just slipped in when he last played, and just fitted perfectly in as though Rodri wasn't away. But the one I'm also excited about is Alvarez. Alvarez coming in, I think he's going to play probably in the 8th row, making runs in between centre halves, and his tenacious self in terms of pressing without the ball. And I was intrigued with regards to Haaland. Haaland starting, and nothing like momentum. The fact that he's been scoring the goals he's scoring, Pep's decided, really ever get the opportunity to score this many goals and start the season the way he does, and he's going with them again this evening. So anticipating some goals from him, and a lovely, great evening again. So in terms of my prediction, well, I'm going to be respectful. I'm thinking this one here is going to be somewhere around 5. It could be even more. I think, well, the Sharks are all hovering around. They're smelling blood, and I think it's going to be one of those games where everybody will be looking to queue up to this evening.
Shaun Goater there giving his thoughts ahead of the game. Thank you for that, Shaun. He's with Alistair Mann, who's got your exclusive commentary. So remember, if you download the Manchester City app, you can get access to City Plus, which has got all that content on there, and then, of course, access to that commentary. Right, gents, we've got 5 minutes before we hand over to our commentators today. That's our starting 11. Let's get some final thoughts then. Nedum, how can you see this one playing out?
Did he say a respectful 5? Is that a thing? Is that where we're at in history? That's a respectful 5?
Apparently so.
All right, OK. I'm going to add a bit more respect, and I'll say 3-1.
3-1?
I'm going to say 3-1 to City, obviously. And, yeah, it'll be a good run-out for people. But the conditions, if they're anything like when we first arrived here, doesn't make for, the most comfortable of games. But, yeah, I'm going to say 3-1, but City controlling the game, maybe Copenhagen just, nick one at the end.
Maybe have a little sneaky one. Shaun, what about for yourself, man?
I'm saying we're keeping a clean sheet for a start, and I'm going to go 4.
You can go 4?
Yeah, I'm going to
Respectful
go 4.
Yeah.
I'm nothing respectful about it. I just think we're going 4.
And Paul, what about for yourself?
I was going to go 4 as well, but I'll go a disrespectful 6. There you go. 4 and 5 have gone, 3's gone. So
we take the 6. Gents, that's absolutely brilliant. Well, thank you. Well, listen, we're back at half-time, then we're back at full-time as well, so make sure you come join us to get us all our thoughts. But we're just going to wrap up a little final moment, because I'm sat here wearing the red and black. And obviously it's not been worn tonight, but it is one of the most iconic and fondly remembered strips. And actually, it's celebrating its 54th anniversary today, and it's so synonymous, isn't it? I think to see. I mean, Colin Bell as well was also kind of a player that you can see in that ripped red and black shirt. I mean, it's great for all City fans. It's always a personal favourite, isn't it?
Yeah, it certainly is. And I think obviously not every City fan has seen all the shirts throughout the era, but when you see this one and you come across someone who has seen the older ones, you can talk about those moments and you can look back at the history of Man City. And even though in this moment moment is very different to what it was, there was still the same feeling that people had back then when they put it on is the same as they have right now. And I think that's something that's brilliant about the club because the heritage still remains. Were
there any of your, I mean, Shaun, is your famous shirt, is it the iconic one scoring the goal, or did you have another one that, kind of that aside for you?
Obviously, the Wembley shirt became iconic, but everybody hated it at the start of the season.
Did they?
I think it's what happened. The red and black one's always been one of my favourites. I think it came. Little start for Malcolm Allison, wasn't it?
Yeah, I think, yeah.
After seeing the great AC Milan team in the 60s, and they thought he wanted the City players to go out and feel like that team then.
Didn't play like him, but
then they won the FA Cup in that shirt.
Yeah, that's it. Yeah. It's true. It does. There is something in that. I think I remember it was. I mean, dare I say, mention it on this show. I think it was Klopp speaking about this another time, but speaking about how almost you strip them, you wanting to feel and look good before you enter the pitch. It's a small 100%. Thing, but I guess it is a big thing, isn't it?
It's not a small thing. It is it's a legit thing. Yeah, when the kits come out and the players are happy and excited to be wearing it, that carries you a long way because the opposition look at you in a better way as well.
Yeah.
And I think, in semi-recent times, like when we were in Europe and I scored that goal, Copenhagen, don't know if you noticed it. The kits were really baggy and loose.
They were like that.
Patches and stuff on it. You know what I mean?
If you're saying the kits were baggy on you, imagine what me and him felt.
This one made like drowned rats. You know what I mean? But then there was a change of direction, and now all those kits have been magnificent, and it's good to feel good because the opposition, they look at you and you know that you look good as well.
Yeah.
It was like that Sunday League, wasn't it?
Yeah.
Sunday League, well, come from like a council area, rags to roses, all these different kits, no tracksuit matching, and then you go and get off the bus to play that team, and then they're dressed to the nine. The full kit one, and it's like, what's going on?
Like they must be really good.
The teams with good kits happen to be good teams.
Yeah, that's
so true. Well, listen, I'll tell you what's looking good and feeling good is, of course, the light show that happened before the Champions League nights, and you will have seen the boys as well there in the tunnel. They're set to go. So, without further ado, please come back and join us at half-time. We'll be tucking into the first 45 minutes. I'm back at full-time, but now all that's left for me to do is say, come on, City. It's over to Alistair Mann and Shaun go to enjoy the game.
Well, a very warm welcome to the Etihad, which at the moment is practically black except for